Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mac Story.
Hello, and thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. So today we're on trait 13 in this 30-part series based on my book, Blue Collar Leadership and Teamwork, 30 Traits of High Impact Players. Trait 13 is be brave. If you want to be a high impact team player, you've got to be brave. Because you got to lead the way. You got to step out front. You got to be the first to go. You got to be the first to try. You got to do what you're going to be learning to do when no one else is doing it. When other people want you not to be doing it. When people start to look at you a little bit differently than they have in the past. People who you used to be friends with, now they're starting to look at you like you're the enemy. Particularly when you work in an organization going through cultural transformation. And I talk about this a lot relative, when I say this, I mean cultural transformation. I have a lot of clients out there. I mean, that's what I'm in. I'm in the cultural transformation business. Ultimately, that's the top level. Yes, I'm in the personal growth development business. Yes, I'm in the team building business. Yes, I'm in the high impact player development business. Yes, I'm in the high impact leadership development business. Yes, I'm in the change management and change leadership business. I'm in the communication business. I'm in time management business. Anything related to character development and personal growth, that's the business I'm in. I write about it. I speak about it all the time. But the one big package that all fits into is cultural transformation. So I meet a lot of people as Rhea and I travel throughout the country and beyond who either start transforming themselves personally and or work within an organization that's trying to attempt to transform the culture of that organization. So I put a lot of focus, no matter what books I'm talking about, I'm always helping people understand relative to cultural transformation. So for any leader at any level to begin cultural transformation, whether it's on their team of 5 people or it's within their organization with 50,000 people and they're the top leader, that leader's got to be brave. And then those people who step up and support the transformation, they've got to be brave. For many, many reasons. So I want to share this quote with you today as we start digging into this trait, be brave, from Michael Josephson. You may remember that name because I share a quote that I learned from him. One of the golden nuggets I got from him was, you don't have to be sick to get better. We don't have to be sick to get better, whichever way you want to say it. I'm pretty sure he says you don't have to be sick to get better. I believe he's got a book by the same title. A lot of times, though, I say we. It's the same exact principle, just wrapped differently from an individual level to a group level. Anyway, this is another quote from him. Pretty sure I got it out of that book. You don't have to be sick to get better. This is what Michael Josephson had to say. Having the moral willpower to put ethical principles above self-interest and always do the right thing takes a lot of character, especially when no one else seems to be living up to such high standards. Pretty powerful stuff. I'm going to read it again just in case you don't hit rewind. Having the moral willpower to put ethical principles above self-interest and always do the right thing takes a lot of character, especially when no one else seems to be living up to such high standards. And I'm so good, I managed to pronounce above wrong both times when I read that. So it did sound like you hit rewind, but you actually didn't. I just goofed it up twice. But it's all right. I think you can figure it out. I have full confidence in your ability. My country tongue gets tangled up a lot. That's just the way life is for me. But I've learned to live with it. So the subtitle of this chapter, this trait, be brave, is do the right things for the right reasons. And you could expand upon that, and I will right now. I could say, do the right things at the right time for the right reasons in the right way. That's what's going to make you a highly effective individual. That's what's going to make you a high impact team player. That's what's going to make you a high impact leader of other people. Again, when I'm talking about leaders, leading other people, it does not mean you're their boss. It means you have a high degree of influence with other people. You may never be a formal authority leader, but I guarantee you this, your life will be better if you can influence people from 360 degrees around you. Or I should say in a direction, 360 degrees around you. You're at the center. It doesn't matter what your title, your position, your rank. None of that matters. It doesn't matter what your job is. What matters is, can you develop yourself into the kind of person who has a high degree of influence with people, specifically people who have a high degree of character. So to do this, to do the right things at the right time, for the right reasons, in the right way, you will often need, I should say, the courage to stand alone and lead, often without authority. When you begin to adopt principles your teammates don't value and don't want to adopt. If you're one of those people right now, if you've been in that situation, you know exactly what I mean when I say it takes courage to stand alone and lead. If you're just beginning your journey, or your organization's not going through cultural transformation, you may not have got to this point in your growth journey yet. If you've been growing or your company's going through cultural transformation, there's a good chance you've already experienced it. It's one of the hardest things that people do. Or I should say, maybe some of them don't do it, but it's one of the hardest things that people who are growing encounter. And it's that spot in their growth where they have to stand alone, lead themselves well, in spite of all the feedback they're getting from all the average people around them. Because they're trying to become exceptional. And I'm here to tell you, average people have no desire for you to become exceptional. They're going to do everything in their power. Even if they don't understand what they're doing, they're still doing it. They're going to do everything they can to make sure you don't leave them behind. These folks are masters at manipulation. Many of them are so good at it, they don't even know they're doing it. But you bet if they're trying to hold you back and you end up staying back, they're going to be happy. You're going to be sad because you're going to be in a place you don't want to be, but they're going to be happy because they accomplished their mission and you didn't. It takes courage to be brave. One of the hardest things that I did during my growth journey, it wasn't the hardest, but it's one of the hardest, was to stand alone as I started growing big time. I pretty much left everybody behind. Not because I'm better than them. We talked about that a couple of episodes back. I didn't leave them behind because I'm better than them. I left them behind because I was going somewhere they didn't want to go. And I did want to go. And I went. And I'm still going. And I'm going to keep going. I wrapped up the last episode talking about the challenge of mentoring people. Challenging them to climb to the next level and beyond. A lot of people, when they get up there and it gets tough, they don't want to keep climbing. They won't sit down and take a break. When that mountain gets steep, they don't want to figure out how to climb the steep part. They just want to sit down and rest on their success. Enjoy the view from wherever it is they're at, but they're done climbing. And when they're done climbing, I'm done helping them climb. Not because I'm better than them, not because I think less of them, but because I'm always looking for people who want to climb. Because I like helping people climb, and I get to decide what I'm going to do with my time. And it's not invested with someone who's happy to maintain the status quo. But a lot of people don't have the courage to grow beyond a certain level. They can be brave up to that level, and then they get a little cowardly. They get afraid to grow. They're afraid to stand alone, to take the heat and the ridicule that comes from all the average people that they're still talking to, that they're still allowing to get in their head. They don't have the courage to stand alone and step away from those people. Some people don't have the courage to walk away from an organization that's not allowing them to grow. Some people even badmouth the people who do. A lot of times people start growing together. Everybody's growing along. Everything's nice. Everybody's getting better. And then a couple of folks start hitting that limit. They can't keep growing. They get frustrated. The organization ain't growing. They're not growing. Maybe the leaders stop growing. All kinds of things can cause it during cultural transformation. But that one person ain't letting off the gas. They still growing. And it ain't going to be long before they get going, meaning they're going to leave because they're outgrowing the organization. Then the people who used to be close with them, the other folks who were growing, they start bad-mouthing and talking about the person who is still growing. They're just outgrowing them, and the people don't even realize that's happening. It's amazing. I see it. I've seen it for decades. I saw it way back before I ever even started reading leadership books. I'm 53 years old. I've been seeing it all the way back since I was an adult, working in organizations. See people growing, and they get to going. And then see people badmouth them because they got left behind. And those people, it's always funny because they're trying to, not funny literally, but I just use that word funny. It's odd, strange, whatever word you want to use. But these people who used to be growing now have become the average folks trying to hold back the folks who are still growing. Sometimes it's the leader. Sometimes it's the coworker. Sometimes it's the people on the team, meaning the people are trying to hold back the boss. Maybe the boss is still growing and the boss is ready to go. And the people on the boss's team don't want the boss to go because they love the boss. Sometimes it's the boss's peers. They're not growing, but they got a good coworker. The bosses have another good boss to work with. They don't want the boss to go. Sometimes it's the boss's boss. The boss's boss ain't growing, and he don't want the boss or she don't want the boss below them to go. There's all kind of scenarios, but it's the same exact principle at play. The people trying to hold folks back are frustrated, and the person trying to grow is frustrated because they know what they ought to do. They just having trouble doing it. So for them to do it, they got to be brave. Remember, I'm helping you learn how to be a high-impact player. Letting someone hold you back is not the way you become a high-impact player. That's the way you go back where you come from. Don't do it. While you're there, try to do everything to keep growing, keep the organization growing, keep your boss growing, keep your coworkers growing, keep your peers growing. While you're on the team, be a starter. Be a rock star. Don't be moaning, groaning about the world that ain't coming fast enough, that ain't growing fast enough for you. You keep growing, and you get to going. Don't worry about these people trying to hold you back. Most of them don't even understand what it is they're doing. They're doing the same things that they badmouth other people at lower levels for doing to other people. They don't realize they're doing it too, just at a higher level. It's always relative to wherever you're at. Average people are average at every level compared to everybody who's around them at that level. It's always relative. But there's a big difference between deciding to do something and actually doing something. High impact players do more than decide to make a difference. They understand courage is most often revealed through action. It took a lot of courage for me to fire the best boss I ever had. And I liked him. I loved him. I still do. When I fired him, I did. I loved my team. I had a great team. They didn't want me to go. A lot of my peers didn't want me to go. The other rock stars, I was considered a rock star on my team. The other rock stars, I wasn't the only one. There were a bunch of us. You know, there's always a divide. I was on the good side of the divide. I was on the side of the divide with the rock stars, and there was a bunch of us over there. And we had a high impact team. They were comfortable staying at that level. I was not. I had to let them go. I had to say adios. I still liked them. I was just going to miss them. There's nobody ever been going to hold me back from growth. No matter how much I like them or how much I love them. Not going to happen. The reason is I have the courage to be brave. I have the courage to do what's right for me in my journey and my mission. I try to align myself with people who are on the same journey because that's where life is good. That's why I don't force myself on people, meaning I don't try to mentor people who get stuck. I leave them behind. I don't chase them. Let's talk about this from a team standpoint real quick about being brave. I think I forgot this on the last episode or two. Anyway, it's going to be all right. You think about if you could pick two people to be on your team. I mean, one person. You got two people that want to be on your team, but you only get to pick one of them. And all I tell you, I'm going to tell you one thing about each one of them. One of them is brave. One of them is a coward. Which one you want on your team? Answer is obvious. It's common sense. You want the brave person. If you're a leader and you're about to promote somebody, they're both rock stars on your team. They deliver phenomenal results. You're about to promote one of the two. The only thing really different between them is one is brave and has a tremendous amount of courage. The other one, not so brave, not so much courage. You're about to promote these folks up. Which one you going to promote up? The bravest one with the most courage. Kind of obvious. If you're a high impact leader. And that's what my podcast and my mission is about. High impact individuals, high impact team players, high impact leaders, high performance teams. That's the context of everything I'm teaching and talking to you about. Jumping on a grenade to save your team in the middle of a war in battle, everybody understands that's brave, that's courageous. A lot of people don't understand this stand alone, though, to grow. Leave your friends behind. They don't understand how that relates to bravery and courage. But it does. It's a big deal. A lot of people, when they get to that level, that's where they stop. They can't leave their friends behind. And I can share this relative to my personal journey. When I stopped drinking alcohol, guess what all my friends did? They drank alcohol. Guess what they still do? They still drink alcohol. Guess what I don't do? I don't hang out with those people anymore. Not because I'm better than them, but because I'm different than them. Because I'm going somewhere they're not. It's okay. I still love them. They may or may not love me, because a lot of times people at a lower degree of character hold stuff like that against you. they'll tell the world you think you're better than them. It's because they can't keep you average, and they realize you becoming exceptional. But they're the ones that they're elevating you. I'm not elevating me. I don't think I'm better than them. So that's one example of thousands of how it applies to your life at home. That's just an example from my life. But I still associate with people who drink alcohol all the time. You may have a relationship with me and you drink alcohol, so you know it. Other people may not have a relationship with me and may not understand it. But I'll tell you what I don't do is I don't hang around with you while you're drinking alcohol. Not because I think I'm better than you, but if I'm going to talk to people, my conversations have to mean something. So when I'm talking to people, I want to talk to sober people. I don't care what in the world they're doing when I'm not around. But if I'm going to talk to and associate with people, I want to talk to sober people so that I know everything they're saying is based on the best opportunity for it to be true. Although still, a lot of sober people say a lot of stuff that ain't true. That's a different character issue. So I want to talk about U.S. Navy SEAL Commander, retired again, Jocko Willink. He was on the mark when he said this right here. He says, every time I see someone that says, I have a weak leader, I always say, lucky you. Take advantage of that. Lead. How true is that? I hear people moaning, groaning, whining to me all the time about their leader. All the time. And I do my best to try to get them to lead. But most of them get so focused, they want the leader to lead. And I'm like, why don't you lead? Why don't you lead? Then they'll say, well, I can't lead. They don't want to listen. Lead yourself to a place with a leader that will listen. How hard is it? It's hard. That's how hard it is. It's hard. Because, see, if I had to lead myself to another place, I got to take a risk. Where is this place? Who are these people? Are they really at a higher level than me or not? I don't know. All I know is I don't like the position I'm in, and I'm blaming my leader. That's low character talk right there. That ain't high character talk. That's low impact talk. That's not high impact talk. Now, you don't have to leave. You can stay. But either way, quit moaning, groaning about the leader and lead. That's what Jocko's saying. He says it again. I'm going to say what he says. Every time I see someone that says, I have a weak leader, I always say, lucky you. Take advantage of that and lead. You can lead the team. You can lead the leader. If you get frustrated because you can't lead the team and you get frustrated because you can't lead the leader, then you can lead yourself out of that situation. But you always have the ability to lead if you have the courage to lead. I've had people who run into that situation I just described, and they lead themselves halfway across the country and double their pay, or triple their pay, or quadruple their pay. I've had people who leave the company and the bad leaders and the bad environment and go to another company and get in the same exact thing. And guess what they did? They left again. They had the courage to keep climbing. And usually what will happen, they'll keep climbing till they find the organization where they fit best. And then they keep growing until they outgrow that organization. And then they start over again. But a bunch of them figure it out fairly quick. And they start their own business. And they develop their own company. They grow and develop their character, and they attract people who they can lead. And I've also seen those same leaders where they attract people who growing more than they're growing. So then those people start doing the same thing to them that they had previously done to their leaders. The best people on their team start leaving because the leader realizes, actually most of them don't ever realize it, but what the truth is they're bringing in people that are capable of climbing higher than they are. Up until that point, they've been running into people who were not capable of climbing high as they were. There's always somebody better out there, better character, better competency, better whatever you want to call it. You're not the best. Most of the time, we're not even close. But being brave often means leading the way by being the first to change what needs to be changed. So let's talk about that from teamwork. Rhea and I have a book called Change Happens, Leading Yourself and Others Through Change. If you want to truly be a high-impact team player in your organization, be the first to change what needs to be changed. Get our book, Change Happens, and dive into that book and learn how to leverage change to your benefit. Change creates a tremendous opportunity to shine, because when change happens, most people don't start shining, they start whining. They go dark and you can go light. What I mean, that's what I'm saying, shining. When change happens, people don't like change. They kind of go back into the shadows. You can't see them so easy. They hide out a lot of times. They run from the change. Some of them, though, they start whining. You might not be able to see them, but you're going to hear them. They're going to moan, groan, and whine about everything. Guess who's going to have the most influence with a leader? A leader who's leading change, implementing change, and it may be coming down from leaders up above them. So leaders up above, if the leader down below can't effectively lead change, the leader up above is going to fire that leader and hire a new leader. But change is coming. So no matter what level you're at in the organization, being brave, learning how to leverage change for your benefit can tremendously accelerate your career. Because as soon as you embrace change, you start shining. You're basically holding up your hand and saying, I'm going to accept responsibility for you, Mr. or Miss Leader. I'm going to help you move the organization forward. Well, you're going to have a lot of influence with that leader. And any other leaders above or beside or below that leader who's also responsible for change. And also anybody, anywhere, at any level who's embraced change, who's leveraging change, who's shining, you guys going to come together and lead the way. It's part of the Great Divide. Lots of things cause the Great Divide, but usually what causes it at the root cause is change. Some type of change, and then what happens, there's people for it and there's people against it. I call it the Great Divide. If you want to have a high degree of influence, if you want to be a high-impact team player, turn your radar on, find out what the high-impact leaders want, and align yourself with making that happen, and you'll develop a tremendous amount of influence. If you want to go against it, you're welcome to do it, but you're going to decrease your influence, and you may eventually become irrelevant on the team. You may fire the boss, or the boss may fire you. What can you do? What should you do? How can you do it? When will you do it? What's stopping you from doing it? Is it a lack of courage? I don't know. You know. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Andy Stanley. Pretty powerful. You may have to hit rewind. Here he goes. This is what he says. He said, within every church, business, or nonprofit organization in need of change, there's a group of insiders who are keenly aware of the transformations that need to take place. They go home every night and gripe to their spouses. They gather in the break room and complain to each other. But day after day, they go about their work, resigned to the notion that nothing will change. They are convinced that to try to introduce change would be a costly and potentially hazardous waste of time. So they keep their mouths shut and watch the clock. They don't lack insight into what needs to happen. They simply lack the courage to do anything about it. So those are the words from Andy Stanley. The lack of courage could be to change jobs. The lack of courage could be to begin transforming the culture of the entire organization. The lack of courage could be to start your own personal transformation. It could be 100 other things. But I'm gonna wrap this one up today. Be brave. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.